Magandang araw. So ngayon, pag-aaralan natin ang summation notation or sigma notation. Pareho lang sila ng ibig sabihin. So what are the objectives of this video lesson? So we have 4 objectives. So the first one is to be able to identify a summation notation, describe how to use the summation notation or the sigma notation, evaluate a summation notation, and write a summation notation from a given sequence. So a given sequence a sub n from n equals k to infinity and numbers m and p satisfying k is less than equal to m but m is less than equal to p. The summation from m to p where the sequence a sub n is written as, so ito, no? Paano siya binabasa? Okay? So the summation of the sequence a sub n from n is equal to m up to p. So paano yun i-interpret? So we have a sub m. So that's the first index. So we have a sub m plus a sub m plus 1 plus plus until we reach a sub p. Okay? So the variable n is called the index of summation. The number m is called the lower limit, while the number p is called the upper limit of summation. So yung upper limit, siya yung last. Okay? Yung lower limit, siya yung start. Okay? Now, here are some notes. Okay? The summation notation or sigma notation is simply a shorthand notation for adding up. So, i-add mo lang yung mga terms of a sequence. So, yung sequence natin, a sub n from n is equal to k to infinity. So, that is from a sub m to a sub p. This symbol is the Greek letter sigma. No? Tawag dyan sigma. N is a shorthand for sum. So, alam naman natin ibig sabihin ng sum, mag-a-add lang tayo. Again, as I mentioned earlier, so we have the upper limit and the lower limit. So, a sub m, yung lower limit. Yung m rather, sub m, okay, is the lower limit. And p is the upper limit. So, yung a sub n, siya yung first entry sa sequence. At yung a sub p, siya yung last entry sa sequence. Okay? So, the lower and the upper limits of the sigma notation tell us which term to start with and which term to end with. Okay? So, dito sa ating example kanina, where we have the summation of a sub n when n is equal to m up to p, yung a sub m, yan yung ating first term, at yung a sub p, yan yung ating last term. Yung m is the lower limit at yung p yung upper limit. So for example, in the sequence, a sub n is equal to 2n minus 1 for n greater than equal to 1. We can write the sum as a sub 3 plus a sub 4 plus a sub 5 plus a sub 6 for this sigma notation. No? So, the summation of 2n minus 1 when n is equal to 3. So, yun, no? Yung start natin, 3. And up to 6, no? So, yung 6, yun yung last term natin. So, paano siya ginagawa? We just have to substitute these values, no? From 3 to 6 to our n in the expression. Okay? So, dito. So, yung mga n na to, papalitan natin ng numbers from 3 to 6. And then, we will solve accordingly. So, we have 2 times 3 minus 1 plus 2 times 4 minus 1 plus 2 times 5 minus 1 plus 2 times 6 minus 1. So, notice, pinalitan lang natin yung n sa formula, no? So, sa expression ng numbers 3 to 6. Bakit po 3 to 6, ma'am? Kasi yun yung sabi, yung kailangan natin, yung sum ng a sub 3 up to a sub 6. Okay? Then you just simplify 2 times 3 minus 1. So 6 minus 1, that's 5. 2 times 4, that's a minus 1. So that's 7. So 2 times 5, that's 10 minus 1, that's 9. Plus 2 times 6, that's 12 minus 1, that's 11. So we have 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11. That is equal to 32. Now, the index variable in this case is n, is a dummy variable. Why? Because it may be changed, no, to any letter without affecting the value of the summation. So in our particular example, yung summation of 2n minus 1 when n is equal to 3 up to 6 can be written as the summation of 2k minus 1, where k is equal to 3 to 6, no, where k runs from 3 to 6. Pwede rin natin gawing letter J. So yung n ay magiging J. So consequently, yung lower limit natin ay J equals 3 up to 6. So, dami variable nga yun eh. Pwede kung anong gusto mong gamitin. So it will not affect the summation. Para lang, alam nyo, baka, ba't na iba? Pareho lang yun. Okay, sa ibang libro, kasi sa atin, balikan natin, no? Ganito kasi ito yung sa equation editor ko, yun yung lumalabas. But in most books, nasa taas, no? Nasa taas yung upper limit, nasa baba yung lower limit. Like this, no? Kinapi-paste ko na lang yung picture para hindi kayo magtaka. Ganito talaga siya, no? So yung dummy variable natin kanina, n, k, and j dito ay I, no? So I runs from 1 to n. So yung n dito ay ating upper limit. So yung x sub I natin, yun yung ating formula. Okay? So for example, so here the summation of I cube when I is equal to 8 up to 11. So substitute lang. I is equal to 8. So 8 raised to the third power plus 9 raised to the third power plus 10 raised to the third power until 11. So that's the upper limit, 11 raised to the third power. Okay, so that's how we interpret summation notation. Okay? Paano naman baliktad, no? Paano naman sumulat ng sigma notation or summation notation from a sequence? Kasi kanina, kinuha natin yung sum, no? Given a sigma notation. Ngayon, meron tayong sequence. Kukunin natin yung sigma notation or gagawin natin yung sigma notation. So for example, we have 1 over 8 plus 1 over 16 plus 1 over 32 plus. So this is an infinite sequence. Okay? Ito naman ay finite. So we have 8 plus 11 plus 14 plus 7. Then we have 1 minus 2 plus 3 minus 4 plus 5 minus 6 plus 7 minus 8. So paano yan gagawing sigma notation? Okay? So pag-usapan natin yung number 1. So we have 1, 8 plus 1 over 16 plus 1 over 32, which can be expressed as 1 over 8 times 1 over 1. Note that 1 over 1 is actually 1. And 1 times 1 over 8 is still 1 over 8. And then 1 over 16 can be expressed as 1 over 8 times 1 over 2. So, di ba, pag minultiply mo, 1 over 16. And then 1 over 32 can be expressed as 1 over 8 times 1 over 4. Okay? So, notice na yung 1 over 8 natin, yung may constant tayong 1 over 8. Paano natin magagawang pare-pareho yung 1 over 1, 1 half, and 1/4? Pwede natin silang lahat i-express as an exponent with a base 2. Okay? So, we can write one as, so I'm looking for the cursor, nawawala siya yun. So, we can write one as 2 raised to the 0, di ba? Anything raised to 0 is 1. So, 2 raised to the 0, that's 1. 2 raised to the first power, that's 2. And 2 raised to the second power, that's 4. So, we notice now a pattern, no? So, 2 raised to 0, 2 raised to the first power, and 2 raised to the second power. So, we now have, besides our 1 over 8, which we noticed as a constant here, so itong fraction, pwede nating express as 1 over 2 raised to the n, where n ranges from 0 to infinity, no? So, yung ating lower limit ay 0. Doon tayo nag-start. At bakit infinity? Kasi hindi natin alam kung saan siya mag-end. Okay? So, the sequence 1 over 8 plus 1 over 16 plus 1 over 32 plus that's or ellipsis, tawag dyan ellipsis, no? Can be expressed as the summation of 1 over 8 times 1 over 2 raised to n, where n equals 0 to infinity. Okay. Next, number 2, we have 8 plus 11 plus 14 plus 17. Now, notice that 8 can be expressed as 5 plus 3, 11 is 5 plus 3 plus 3, 14 is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, and 17 is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Bakit ganon? Kasi gumukuha tayo ng pattern, no? Yung pare-pareho. Okay? So, notice na lahat sila may 5. Yun, lahat sila may 5. So, meron tayong 5 sa summation natin. And then, constant din yung 3. And 3 is multiplied by 1 in the first term. And then, multiplied by 2, 3, and so on. So, yun ngayon yung variable natin, ano, 1, 2, 3. So, yun tatawagin natin K. And K ranges from 1 to 4, as we can see here. So, yung 8 plus 11 plus 14 plus 17 can be expressed as the summation of 5 plus 3K, where K ranges from 1 to 4. And finally, we have 1 minus 2 plus 3 minus 4 plus 5 minus 6 plus 7 minus 8. So, yung technique, pagka merong ano yun, alternate na positive tsaka negative, palagi yung may negative 1. Okay? So, ang mababago na lang yung exponent. Maari kasing walang exponent. Pero palaging may negative 1. So, negative 1, notice that, okay, so this, if you check, okay, so you have negative 1 raised to k minus 1 times k, where k ranges from 1 to 8. Ano yung 1 to 8? Ay, yung entries natin 1 to 8. Okay? So, kunwari itong first term na to, no? So, negative 1 times k is 1. 1 minus 1, that's 0. Negative 1 raised to the 0 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So, that's the first entry. What about the second entry? So, when k is 2, so you have 2 minus 1, that's 1. So, negative 1 raised to the first power, that's negative 1. Negative 1 times 2, that's negative 2. So, that's the second term. For the third term, we have k equals 3. Wala na naman yung cursor. So, we have negative 1 raised to 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1, that's 2. Negative 1 raised to the second power. So, that's negative 1 times negative 1. That's positive 1. Our k is 3. So, 1 times 3. So, that's positive 3. And so on. Okay? So, ganun lang. I hope na-review kayo sa sigma notation at summation notation. Bakit kailangan natin to sa mathematical induction? Principle of mathematical induction. Kung gusto nyo ng exercises on getting the sum and writing sigma notation given a sequence, I will give you, just message me and I will give you some items to work. So thank you for listening. You stay safe and you stay healthy. Bye for now.